I don't know. I thought that would be funny to do, but who knows? Anyways, happy Saturday. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Welcome to the Saturday Starting Gate. And we got a fun little show for you today. We're going to be focusing here on the early pick 5 here at Saratoga. Obviously, if you guys caught our stream earlier this week, we did Saratoga, we did Del Mar. You know, we focus on the stakes races usually on Thursday because, you know, usually you have a good idea of who's going to be in, who's going to be out. But Saturday morning, let's talk about the real ways to make some money here. We have a man on the street today. Mr. Mark Capitan. Yeah, we finally figured this out, I think.
I hope we did. You know, I work in IT. You'd figure it wouldn't take me 3 weeks to figure out my technology, but I did. And with the great help of one Andrew Capone, I have a picnic table. I'm in the back area, in the picnic area, right across from the jocks room, chilling out. It's good stuff.
Wait a second. Andrew Capone from Horse Racing Nation?
The one and only Andrew Capone from Horse Racing Nation, the man, the myth, the legend himself, who apparently got stepped on by a horse this morning. So he's a little hurt and we feel a little bad for him, but Andrew's a good guy.
We're going to be hearing that story the entire meet, aren't we?
It's going to take years before you get to the end of that story.
Yeah, I can already hear him.
He's easy to hear.
But, you know, I think Andrew Capone's going to be part of our stream, whether we like it or not. I'll stop by. Yeah, you see, you can hear him right there.
You can hear him right there. That's the one and only.
The other Andrew... Not me, because I'm definitely not Andrew. Mr. Andrew Champagne, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I appreciate you having me. The moral of the story, people named Andrew do good things in Saratoga.
So do we have to ask how many winners you got in the pink sheet so far?
I've got 30 right now, and honestly, I've been running second and third a lot, but that's a problem that a lot of public handicappers are having right now. It's been tough. There have been horses that are reasonable prices, say 8-1, 9-1, 10-1, that a lot of our horses have been finishing second or third right in behind. But they're really tough day yesterday, and I got to tell you guys, when you said early pick 5 today, I started jumping up and down. I really, really like this sequence, and I think there's money to be made here.
Another Andrew, Road Warrior here, saying, "Yeah, that's right." I'm guessing that's towards the Andrew comment there. But
you know, I'm just saying, if you're named Andrew, there's stiff competition between myself, Andrew Capone, Andrew Byer, Andy Serling, Andrew Hawkins, and any number of other Andrews in the horse racing field. It's a good name to have.
Do you really want to be associated with Andy Serling in that group? I mean,
I don't have a problem with Andy. He probably has a problem with me after last year's run-in with search results getting set down for the year and that turning into a whole thing. But no, my interactions with Andy have been positive, believe it or not. And I don't want to say this too loud because it'll spoil his gimmick. There's a good guy in there.
Yeah. If you ever are to meet Andy out around town in Saratoga, you're to run into him when he's not in front of a camera. He's a very different human being. He's an extremely nice guy, very approachable, very talkative. He loves the sport, really good guy, and he definitely turns the persona up to 11 when he's on, when the camera's in front of him, because he's, he's selling his part. He's got to, selling his act, and I get that.
It was a little too much love.
Too much Andy love here. Do we love too much Andy love? Okay.
We'll have to set up for next time. I've been kicking around ideas for the Saturday stream, including like things like games and contests. So I got some ideas, but I think we might need to do a tier list of Andrews in racing.
We're gonna handicap Andrews.
We're gonna handicap Andrews, and we're gonna see what happens there. But. Yeah. We got I don't know. We got about what, an hour to post. I believe 12:05 is the normal first post time. Let's
105.
or
105.
105. Yeah, sorry. 12:05 Central, 105 Eastern. And they're going to start off with a maiden race, 105K maiden. We got a field of 5 because the 6 did scratch. And actually, why don't we toss this up here real quick? We did have a couple of scratches here in this early sequence. Obviously, in race 1, the 6 Bourbon Resolve scratched out, and that was definitely one of the horses I was going to use. So that kind of changed my approach here. Obviously, in the race 3, we got the 5 Misbehaved. Race 4, the Wesley Ward favorite, 12 Doozy Bats, scratched out. And race 5, the number 10 Ladies Golden Guy, another horse I had in my ticket, scratched out there in race 5. Only other, like, really, since we're focusing on the early pick 5, I didn't really go through all the scratches, but race 9, one of the stakes races, the Jim Dandy Western River, who was a 20-1 shot in there, scratched out. And also for the stream, Mr. Caleb Knight.
Western River ran yesterday. That's why.
That makes sense. Yeah, he was cross-entered. And then on the wrong lead team, the whole stream, Caleb Knight switched to Andrew Champagne. So, just want to make sure we get all the big scratches out there. Also,
that. Thank you.
Also, we do need to remember something. Mark Capitan here. It's definitely not Andrew Champagne.
I'm definitely not Andrew Champagne. No.
So.
It's probably a good thing. There's only one of us in the world, and that's probably more than enough.
Oh man, but yeah, race 1 here. We got a field of 5. Obviously, these 6 here scratched out. Your favorites with the scratches, I mean, technically on the morning line is a 2 Swiss Guard, but looking at the board, yoink. Looks like the 3 Tatum and the 5 Capture the Flag are sitting at 2-1 right now. Andrew, as our guest, where did you kind of land here?
My best bet of the pick 5 sequence comes right away. I really like number 3 Tatum here, and here's why. First of all, only horse in this race with anything resembling experience, ran a really good second at Parks. And granted, it's Parks. Sometimes you don't know who necessarily they beat. But speed figure wise, that race came back okay. You see a 76 speed figure on Briz. You see a 66 buyer number. It's a decent race. This one's a 1/2 to 4 winners, so it has a real reason to be a runner himself. But what I really, really like about this, look at the jockey. Whenever you see a rider coming from, say, a Parks or a Finger Lakes or a Delaware for one mount in an undercard race at Saratoga, they're not coming for frequent flyer miles or gas points or anything like that. They're coming because the horses they're coming in to ride are usually very, very live. Now, that scratch 6 is indeed a big scratch. There was a big work for that one on July 17th. A lot of reason to like that one. Number 5, the flag. That's taking the 5 are sort of co-favored right now. And the 5 is bred in the purple. You see a grade 1 winning dam named War Flag. The second dam, in fact, is akin to Dynaformer. But guys, the more I look at the 5, the more I think that horse wants turf as opposed to dirt. Shug McGahee, it might be a little early to say his barn is running cold, less than 10 starts on the meet, but still no wins to this point. And this barn is not necessarily known for winning with first-time starters. They can win with firsters on occasion, but it's not something the barn really specializes in. Number 2, Swiss Guard is the other one we probably want to talk about. That's the one that I picked second. The dam is a 1/2 to a grade 1 place runner named Holiday Soiree. Fetched $150,000 at auction. Has a couple of nice gate works for Steve Asmussen. But Asmussen's first out numbers aren't anything special either. Between the experience, the fact that the jockey comes up, and I got to tell you, the early money coming in on Tatum off that 5-1 morning line, guys, I think there's a lot to like here.
Mark, I think you were also single to this 3 here, right?
Yeah, I also singled this 3. I think Andrew did a really good job setting this up. We're on the same horse for the same reasons. And I think the one stat he didn't bring out is Danny Vasquez. He's 7 for 17, which is 41%. Was second time 2-year-old maidens in dirt sprints with a $2.91 ROI, which is a just absolutely screamer stat. I when you see a field like this, Andrew said a lot of things. You're seeing the out-of-town jock ship in for one mount, which is always a huge thing. And a horse with experience versus horses that do not have experience. This one also has some speed. I like these horses that show speed and maybe just faded a little bit first time out. I think Tatum is super live. And I also say I think Andrew is a little nicer than I'll be. The Schick McGahee barn is absolutely ice cold right now. He's 0 for 11 on the meet, 2 seconds. I don't understand why this horse is your favorite. Works were not that impressive on the horse. And I would say a similar thing to the Asmussen barn. Asmussen's only 1 for 12 on the meet. His barn has just not been firing either. So neither the Shug or the Asmussen barn have really showed up yet. I expect they will. But Saratoga's a tough meet, big competitive fields. Those guys aren't going to turn the percentages they do at lesser tracks. But this 3 Tatum pushes all the buttons for me. If this was a horse shipping out of a bigger circuit, say this was a Churchill shipper, this horse would be probably half this price. It would probably be an even money favorite. So I think there's a lot to like, and this will be a lone A on my pick 5.
Yeah, I see John Massey, sweet, sassy John Massey, saying that he thinks Shug is going to be impossible to beat in about 2 weeks around Travers time. So
I'll tell you one thing. I really like a Shug McGahee runner on tomorrow's card. He's got Baby Blythe and a turf marathon. When that one is sound, she's really tough. I'm looking forward to seeing her run.
Yeah, she looks real tough in that spot. I would agree with you there as well, Andrew.
Yeah, and I basically agree with you guys here on the 3 horse. I'm using the 3, using the horse with experience here. The other horse I'm going to use is going to be the 4 team leader here for Godolphin and Brendan Walsh. Street Boss is 14% first time sire, and if you kind of look at the rest of the breeding in here, the sires in here, there's not a lot of win early pedigree in here, so it seems like Street Boss is probably the best of the group. Coming off some nice works, obviously fired a bullet at Keeneland 2 back, and then just had 2, just nice works. The clockers liked both those works coming in here, so yeah, I'm going to go with the horse with experience, and I'm going to go with the 4, the horse that I think's been working the best, and has got a little bit of win early pedigree here in team leader. And Brendan Walsh isn't necessarily known for first time starters, so I mean I guess it's kind of a knock. But looking on the board, I mean I'm going to get all of 4 to 1 here in the 5 horse field. It's going to be the 3rd or 4th choice in this race. So see if we can spice up a little bit of the pick 5 here with a middle price.
I can't begrudge you for taking a little bit of a swing there with team leader. It's a case where none of the other first-time starters look all that exceptional. It's an okay work tab. You look at Tyler Gaffleone, the jockey, and you see 2 wins from 53 starts. He's been running 2nd and 3rd a lot this meet. He's been on competitive horses. They've been running well. He just hasn't necessarily gotten into the winner's circle. At some point, that's got to change. I know there were jokes made about how he got married right before the meet, but this is a guy that's too good of a rider to stay this quiet for this long. His horses are running reasonably well. At some point, that'll turn around, and the 2nds and 3rds will turn into wins.
I see a lot of love here for this one, the Bill Mott horse.
I don't get it, guys. I'm sorry.
Don't get it at all. No. Mott is not a guy that's known for his first-timers firing. There was no crazy work tab on this one. There was nothing that's jumped off the paper. I mean, again, not that Bill Mott's horses normally have a crazy work tab that's a screamer, but, I thought space was just – I had a hard time getting to that horse. I mean, to me, if you're getting that far where you're going to space, you're effectively buying the race. And I mean, there is a strategy here in a pick 5 to be able to do that. But I just, Bill Mott first timers, I will normally let them beat me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Mark. And the thing that gets me, it's not necessarily the times of the works. It's the fact that up until just a couple of weeks ago, this horse had not breezed 4 furlongs. Breezes 4 furlongs once over the Oklahoma track, goes 49 and 4. That's not a terrible time. The Oklahoma track is not a fast surface. Then they breeze them on turf. And to me, that screams of a barn that's trying to figure out what the horse wants to do. And I don't like betting horses that way first time out. If it turns out that horse beats me, then yeah, that horse is going to beat me. But those are the horses that I think you want to beat you. Second time out going longer, though, you see Ghost Snapper out of a Blaine mare, maybe, and maybe it's just a case where Bill Mott uses this spot as a tightener. And look, it's not the toughest spot in the world. If you want to tell me Space is going to run third here and throw this horse in on the bottom of tries, weirder things have happened. But as far as on top, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think that, I completely agree with everything there. Also, them doing a turf work on this horse, there is a lot of turf, both top and bottom on this one Space. And I think Bill Mott is one of those trainers that he's going to always give a horse a chance to prove it can run on dirt before he moves it to turf. So my expectation is this one will run here. If the horse doesn't show a ton, this one will be probably pointed for turf and probably going quite a bit longer second time out. I would imagine, turf mile, something like along those lines a little later on in the Saratoga meet. And also, one other thing Andrew said earlier about, the 4 team leader and having Gaff up, he has been on some live mounts. He has been on mounts that have taken money. But, this sort of idea that he's too good of a jock to not have shown up or he's going to show up at some point, I think he'll get his wins. But I think Julian LaPerue came up here 3 or 4 years ago and went, 1 for 100 and something, on me. And Julian
was on half of those horses. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to say, there have been consistent times where very good jocks have shipped to Saratoga and just not run well. And I don't know if it's a factor of, Gaff is riding a lot of the Kentucky mounts, and the live Kentucky mounts are just not going to Gaff. Again, Gaff is a very good jock. It's just at the moment he either is, and I've also seen some very sort of him not understanding how to ride the surface type mounts. Him being kind of in suspect places on the turf course. So I think he's still figuring the circuit out a little bit. And I realize he was up here last year as well, but I still think he's still a little bit figuring the surface out, trying to figure out how it's playing. And I also don't know if he's really getting those A-tier mounts. So, until Gaff starts showing up and winning more than a mount per week, I will continue to fade him.
All right. Yeah, a lot of comments here about Gaff. Massey saying that Tyler's fine. He's been much better this week. Clock is sharpening back up. And Road Warrior saying Tyler's good because he actually understands being forward wins races. And Ben saying Tyler is just still in that honeymoon phase.
There you go.
Hey, I mean, look what happened to Rispoli after didn't he have a kid like in January or February?
It was the second or third kid, and he went a little bit soft for a month or two, and now he's absolutely, you cannot, you have to have money on him on turf. He's just, you pay the Rispoli tax at Del Mar right now.
Yeah, I know, Andrew, you were saying that you haven't looked at Del Mar whatsoever, but I mean, it's getting back to that point where I think you could just blind bet Rispoli on turf, and you probably are positive. It's
he's
been pretty
a phenomenal rider when he's on his game. When he announced that he was coming east, I went, "Oh, okay, he's going to win every single turf race here." And then he went to Keeneland and was snake bit. Had every single bad thing possible happen to him. He went back to California. He's doing well. I'm happy to see that because when he's riding well, he's one of the best turf riders anywhere.
Yeah, and also the other thing is he did go to Kentucky Downs and showed up there. So it was weird that he was so cold at Keeneland, but then he shows up at Kentucky Downs, and I think he was a 50% turf jock at Kentucky Downs. So, it does come in streaks for these jocks, and it is very mount dependent as well.
Yeah, why don't we keep on going here? We got race 2, mile and 16th on the inner turf. What's the turf going to be looking like today, Mark? With the weather,
fast and firm. It was listed good yesterday. I think fast and firm it's on the good side of firm is what I would imagine it to be. I don't know if they watered last night, but I don't believe that all of that rain. We had what was it? Would have been Thursday. We got about 2 inches of rain, all thunderstorm rain, but it absolutely downpoured. So I would imagine there's still quite a bit of water, quite a bit of cut for a fast turf course. It is not like it was to start the meet when it was a little dirty.
And Mark, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna assume you're singling this 10.
Yeah, I'm singling the 10, son of a birch. I will keep playing the Morley Javier Castellano angle until it stops working. This is a horse that, stumbled badly at the break first time out. You're getting second time here. There are a ton of other major players in here that I think take money. I'm hoping I get every bit at 10-1. Looking at double probables, it looks like other people have figured out that Hobby and Morley are a good combo to bet. So this horse is playing much shorter than that morning line in the doubles. But I do like Son of a Birch here quite a bit. The other horses I was really interested in, there was let me go to the 3, the Mark Cassie horse. I don't even determinately. With Joel Rosario up, that horse seems to be one that has quite a bit of turf pedigree, both top and bottom. It looks like Cassie gave this one a shot to shine first out on the dirt. Didn't run terrible. And fires back here probably on what's the preferred surface. Cassie has had some good luck up here already. He had 2 maiden winners last weekend on Sunday. For 2 maiden winners. So I think this one's probably pretty live in here and kind of an interesting horse. And the other one was the 8, Deccan Prince, that I was pretty interested in for Maker with Sayas up. If you see Maker going to Sayas, especially at Saratoga, those tend to be his more live mounts. He's Maker's 19% on the meet up here, but he's 25% when he puts Sayas up. So, Maker is normally very live the first 2 weeks of meet. And you're getting, a fairly decent price on this horse. Blinks go on. And I think this one's a fairly interesting horse. Has showed some tactical speed first out, and should have a little bit of bottom end after that. And I'll let Andrew talk, but I have some takes on Maidens in here as well. I'll let him go and see if he has the same take.
What a great race this is. I am so looking forward to this second race. These are the Saratoga races that I love looking at, because you take a look at this race, you could conceivably go 6 or 7 deep in a 10-horse field and go, did I leave anything out? Did I leave anything out? Did I leave anything out? It's so much fun. Now, first of all, Mark, you mentioned Castellano and Morley. They ripped my heart out in the finale yesterday. Stella Mars looked like she was going by 90% of that stretch run. Top of the stretch, it looks like she's winning by 4. Mid-stretch, it looks like she's winning by 2, and she just did not get by.
Could not get there.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about that. Like, we all have our reels of races that we'll be forced to watch in hell because we're all going there. This instantly made that reel because I needed Stella Mars for a pretty nice score there. But Castellano and Morley, you're right. They've been going really, really well.
Yeah, I will say that horse holding on late in the stretch was very, 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 very good for me. So, I guess whenever there's a situation like that, somebody else has the opposite side, right?
Well, for sure, yeah, and I'm happy you hit it. Right after that race, I'm throwing things, I'm stomping around, and the Naira camera crew shows the big celebration in the winner's circle because Maggie and the kids are there, and I'm going, you kids make me sick! But at any rate, Son of a Birch, you mentioned, certainly has room to improve. The post is a big question mark. Now, there's a long stretch run the first time around, so there is time to get over. But I did go elsewhere. Say Magnifique just looks like it's supposed to win this race. Horse number 6 in the program. Chad Brown trains. Peter Brandt owns. Turf top and bottom. By Kitten's Joy out of a more than ready mare. The mare was grade 3 placed on turf and is also a half to a multiple stakes winner named Royal Sun, who did his best running on a synthetic surface. Synthetic form often translates to turf form. There's some good works on the tab. Flavien Prat sees fit to ride. It says 3-1 on the morning line. I love David Aragona's morning line. I think he's one of the best in the business. I'll take the under on that. I think that one's going to be probably 8-5, 9-5. Certainly a horse that I think you need to use, but it's not like it's a one-horse race either. You mentioned Deccan Prince, and I'm intrigued by that one as well. By Kingman out of a rail link mare. You're not going to get a greener pedigree than this. The Turf Tomlinson figure, a 416. Usually anything over 300 for Turf is noteworthy. Anything over 400 is very, very rare. Deccan Prince has some experience, has every right to improve after a rough start and was sort of one-paced going 6 furlongs, stretches out to a route, off of a bullet drill downstate, gets Luis Saez, must use for me. And, of course, you can't ignore the Todd Pletcher trained first-time starter, number 7, Monte Pulciano. I really hope I'm saying that right. But The second dam was a stakes winner. The dam was a half to a couple of different stakes winners. $210,000 auction purchase for this one. And I am very intrigued. And Josh, if you could highlight this for me, please, that July 24th work. They're trying to train some stamina into this one, and I think that's very noteworthy. I can't leave that one off my ticket. The one that scares me, that I did not use, that would not shock me if it leapt up at, say, 15-1 and just lit up the tote board, is number 5, Our Dream Ride. The dam is a half to a multiple graded stakes winner on turf, who was also the dam of another multiple graded stakes winner on the turf. I'm referring to Criminologist, who threw Inspector Lindley. This was a $210,000 auction purchase as well. Ran 6th in the debut behind a horse named Mo Strike. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. That horse came back and won the Sanford. That one has every right to improve at a really big price. Ian Wilkes and Julian Leperoux team up on this one. And I went 3 deep in the pick 5. If the 5 wins and knocks me out, that's my okay, I'm done for the day horse, because that's the last horse I threw out in the entire sequence. I would not be at all surprised if that one is well meant, and certainly a horse that you want to use if you're playing exactas and trifectas.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, I was going to say there was what I had mentioned about, and I'm glad you kind of went there, Andrew. Was the 6 and the 7. I'm a big DRF clocker person, especially up at Saratoga where you have all of these maiden races. And I thought there was a really interesting note on the 7, Montepisano. If you'd seen Todd Pletcher, he's been going to Flavien Prat with all of his 5, specifically turf mounts. And I thought it was very interesting that Flavien Prat had been riding this horse in the morning, and he saw fit to ride the Chad Brown horse in the actual race, which makes me think that that 7 is a horse that you can probably toss out of the sequence. The 6 to me is a horse that I don't want to let beat me. But I do agree with you that that horse probably takes a lot of money and ends up really short priced. I'm going to try to get around the 6 with sort of that defensive B that I'm notorious for. But I think I want to go other places just because I think there's more value. But the other thing I will say about the DRF Clocker reports is there's a sort of running joke in sort of handicapping the Clocker reports. It's very often that if it's a Chad Brown or a Todd Pletcher that gets sort of a B caliber work, it ends up as a B plus on the Clocker report because those horses tend to fire. They only gave this 6 a B work on its last out work. So I wonder if this one isn't as cranked and ready to go and maybe needs a race. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for, playing through this race with a little bit of a fade on the 6.
Yeah, you guys basically talked about all the horses that I wanted to use. But I kind of landed on some of these horses for a different reason, I guess. And this is just something with turf routes, specifically maiden turf routes, that I look at. Rule 1 for maiden turf routes for me is if it's 3-year-olds and up, I always look for the ups, because generally, if you're going a mile and the 8th, a mile and 16th on the turf, usually a little bit of age on the turf especially is going to help with that. So I always look at the ups first, right? Obviously, this is a 2-year-old race. So looking at the 2-year-old race, routing on the turf, I'm going to look for the horses with any kind of experience. So that meets both the 8 and the 10 in this spot as kind of my top picks. I'm just looking for a horse that's already run on the turf, has got some condition, and it's not going to be as big of a deal, stretching out. I do think that 7 furlong work is notable. I actually missed that because that you can kind of match that with maybe going out for a 6 furlong sprint race, first time out or something like that. The only trainer I would trust taking a horse and just routing him first time on the turf is going to be Chad Brown. So I used the 6 as well. Kind of like Mark, I'm not like super excited to bet this horse at 5-2, 2-1. But horizontally, I think I have some spots in other places that if I take a short price in this race, I'll be okay. And I think the Chad horse is the one that I'm going to use. I did have a question about the 3. The 3 was the other horse I looked, and similar to your 5 horse, Andrew. The 3 horse is my this is the last horse I'm tossing. So I marked it with a big old question mark because, if Rosario booms me on a Cassie horse, I just am going to be inconsolable the rest of the day, and will just drown myself in tiki drinks later on this afternoon.
I'm not going to lie. Tiki drinks don't sound half bad, man.
You were going to say, Mark?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was just looking at the doubles probables, and it looks like the 6 and the 7 are going to be effectively even, effectively the same odds, assuming that the double probables are right. They are going to be your favorite and almost co-favorites, it looks like, based on doubles. So, yeah, and that to me is one of those, and I think, Andrew probably will agree with this, when you're playing Saratoga, very often, you have, probably 30 to 35,000 people here today who are betting names and connections they know. And people know Chad Brown, they know, they know Todd Fletcher, they know, Arad Ortiz. So they're betting those connections and not probably betting the horses with the highest chance to actually win. It provides a lot of value in these types of pools, especially in these types of situations. So.
Taking a look at chat here, John Massey obviously pointing out immediately the Kingman Maiden for Maker here. So the 8 Deccan Prince. Interestingly, Kingman, going for $200,000 stud fee, and this horse was bought for $50,000 at a sale, which is, I don't know, that's kind of weird, especially seeing that big of a drop from such a big name sire, but.
So there's I don't actually think that's a real number, Josh, because you know what? Maybe it is. Yeah. I was looking at Three Diamond Farms with the owner and Diamond Creek, and I saw Diamond in both names and assumed they were the same, but now I'm realizing I'm an idiot. So.
Well, the thing that I want to jump in with really quick on this is, it sold for $50,000. That was at the OBS sale. That's one of those 2-year-old sales where horses breeze an 1/8 of a mile. You look at that pedigree, that horse is not going to go an 1/8 of a mile. That horse wants to go 1.5 miles. Now, I understand that, 1 furlong breeze isn't going to do everything, but that's where you see really big numbers with horses that breeze an 1/8 of a mile in 10 flat, or my goodness, even less than that. The horse may well not have breezed or reviewed all that well, may well be a horse that gets better as it gets older, may well be a horse that wants 2-turn type routes that it gets in this spot. I do not see that as a negative at all.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think also if you look historically, and there's I'm part of a stable that we don't buy the $500,000 horses. We're in that sort of, let's say, 60 to 120 range normally, and we sort of joke about the fact if you look at win percentage on big money spent at auctions, it doesn't necessarily translate to big winners. On the track, I think there's always the old Zenyatta adage where everybody loved her, but she had a weird skin condition, so she sold. She had a weird rash on her side when they sold her as a 2-year-old, so she sold for like $50,000. There's a lot of times at the auctions that weird little things will happen, and a horse just doesn't take money because there was some little minor thing going on, and therefore the money got vacuumed out of the room. So yeah, I mean sale price tells you something, but there's also been a lot of horses that. I don't know, the Green Monkeys of the world that sold for $16 million and never won a race. So, it's a rough indicator of talent that we're assuming is there as a 2-year-old that can or even as a weanling, that can be very different when they actually reach the track.
Looks like there's some pedigree talk in chat. John Massey saying Kingman very mile oriented on grass. And Tommy saying only a handful of Kingmans can get north of 1 mile. I think there's a lot of pedigree on the bottom too, a lot of distance pedigree. Looks like Rail Link.
The Dam's a half sister to a G2 winner in France at 2 1/4. So there's definitely some distance pedigree on the bottom end.
This horse, if it doesn't work out on the flat, and you're going to laugh at this, but honestly, fits the jumper profile really, really well.
Yep. I was just looking at that horse thinking that this horse, if it doesn't work out on the flat, is going to clearly have a second life going over some hurdles.
Paging Sean Clancy. Sean Clancy, please pick up the nearest red Curtis.
It looks like Road Warrior, he likes 4, 5, 6 here. So, and he's going to play the 6 if it does float up, but it doesn't look like he's gonna get his wish there. But let's
think is going to happen. I really do think you're going to get 8-5, 9-5 on that horse. I think the tot will probably be 5-2, 3-1. And what that means is if you like Deccan Prince or Son of a Birch or anybody else, you're going to get your price.
Yep. Yes, you are.
There's Nick Feldman pointing out the Dynaformer once again. So the 10 Son of Birch Dynaformer going longer, second start. So we know he loves his Dynaformers.
Going 2
Who
turns.
doesn't love Dynaformer?
Yeah, blame him.
Nah, you gotta love Dynaformer.
All right, let's keep on going. And it looks like I got Road Warriors bet. He's just a 4 and 6. Use the dash. The dash means through. Come on, comma.
Kids these days, no punctuation, you know?
Well, it's funny too because Andrew is usually just and other Andrew, not you, Champagne, Road Warrior. He's usually just so like detail oriented with all of this stuff. So surprised to see that from him. We got about 30 minutes to first post. So before we get into race 3, I did want to just kind of post up some tickets. I know this is probably going to ruin some of the suspense of the next couple races, but Andrew, you got a ticket here. Obviously 3. You're singling at 3, and you got the 6, 7, 8. Looks like you're 8, 9 in race 3, 5, 8, 11 race 4, and 1, 2, 4, 7 in race 5. It's a $36 ticket at the base.
I honestly, I'm trying to get Tatum home right away. I think that's a case where you're going to see a price in the win pool that is not necessarily indicative of what that horse is going to pay in the pick 5 pool. I think there's going to be more win money than pick 5 money on that horse, and I think you'll get something closer to the morning line price in that pick 5. And I'm trying to spread a little bit in other legs of the sequence. I went too deep in the upcoming 3rd race. We'll get to that in just a moment. That's called foreshadowing, kids. Also went 3 deep to finish it out using a couple of long shots that I'm really looking forward to talking about. But $36 ticket from me in this early pick 5 ticket. We get that single home. I'm pretty confident we've got the 3 horses in the 2nd race. I'm a little confident in the 3rd race. I had to trim down somewhere, but I think there's a lot of talent towards the outside. We get through that hurdle. We're 3 deep in the 4th leg. We're 4 deep in the 5th leg, and I really like the chances.
Yeah, we definitely diverge in the 3rd leg because I got a ticket. Unfortunately, mine's double the price of yours, but I'm using 2 horses.
We cover more than half the field, Josh.
I used 2 of the horses in the 1st leg, the 3, and I used the 4 as well. Obviously, 6, 8, 10 in the 2nd leg. We diverged quite a bit here in race 3, and I was basically just hell or high water trying to get around any of the get around this 8, I believe, is going to be your favorite, and the 9 is going to take some money. But just trying to get around some shorter prices here with something else. And then obviously I'm using the 8 and the 9 next race, race 4. The 8's going to be super short. The 8 looks like he should absolutely air. The 8 is also 0 for 10, so I cannot trust that horse. So I use the 9, who I think is the 2nd best horse in that race, and then 2, 3, 5 to close it out. Mark, I know you sent me your grid.
Yeah, what I sent you has been scratched down a fair bit since then, Josh. So, the 6 came out of the 1st race, and a couple scratches. The 5, most notably in the 3rd, came out as well. So, and I think the 10 out of the 5th race. So what I sent you is was a little preliminary.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. No. Yes.
Live television, everybody. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
So obviously that was, I think, before scratches. You sent me that.
Yeah,
so.
it was before scratches. I had to leave a little early to get here and stake my picnic table spot out.
But yeah, I thought, Mark, you and I kind of landed pretty similarly on your A's, at least in some of these. I know we diverged a little bit leg 4, but I think we both used an A. The 8 there is an A, but yeah. If you guys need to see these again, like I said, just let me know. I'll post them back up, but we'll show them again before first post here. But let's get back to the PPs. Oh no, there we go. Anyways, race 3. Obviously, I talked a little bit. Like, I'm spreading here. I think, gun to my head, I think I liked the 2 the best in this spot. Only because I kind of looked at this race and I was kind of going through time form, trying to see, okay, which horses fit on figs. And I just kept on landing on closer, off the pace. A lot of the best horses in this race are coming from off the pace. So I included the 2 as who I think is probably going to be your pace setter here, is going to be the pace presence. You get Trevor McCarthy aboard, who I think he's a good jock. But I mean, you got the best jock colony in the country here at Saratoga. So good jocks going 6 or 7% is not uncommon. See Tyler Gaffleone. Tyler Gaffleone would probably be 15% plus in any other jock colony, including Del Mar. And here he's going to be. He's gonna be a lot shorter. What is Mark doing?
So see if we can do this, Josh. I don't know how the angle is, but I'll give the walk by for the first race if that works.
Okay. So yeah, Mark.
I'm so jealous.
I'm gonna mute Mark though because it's super loud there. Anyways, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think I like the 2 the best. The other horses I have are closers coming off the pace. I think they all fit on figs. The 3 Royal Tryst, JJ up for just some guy who I've never heard of, and that could just be me. But I always like JJ when he comes with these rides for these kind of no name connections. And then obviously the 4 Full Moon Fever, Dylan Davis and Mark Hennig, and the 6 Sayas and Romans teaming up with Southern Passage. But as the horses are going past here for the first, Andrew, we're just completely opposite here. So where did you land in this race?
Yeah, I landed on the 2 outside runners, and I saw a lot of the same things you did, but found a totally different conclusion. And my God, how beautiful a shot is that? It's just the greatest place on earth right there. I'm so looking forward to getting back there in a couple of weeks and looking forward to seeing some of you guys up there too. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll probably be right at that picnic table recording this thing as a group. So it'll be fun to do.
Yep. You'll be stuck with me whether you want me or not. Anyway, I went with the 2 outside horses in here, number 8 Endowed and number 9 Wolf County. Wolf County to me is interesting because in his career early on, Brendan Walsh had this one. And he seemed to think Wolf County was a sprinter because if you look, you see 1 2-turn race that did not go well, a bunch of 1-turn events. Then he goes to the sidelines for a bit and comes back with Ken McPeak. Runs second, beaten ahead by Tiwanaku, who's a nice horse, in what's listed as a $50,000 maiden claiming race. I thought that was a really good race for the level. Ken McPeak thought so too. Wheeled the horse back in a 1 3/16 maiden special weight race, and the horse wins by a length and a half, earning a 79 buyer speed figure. It's entirely possible that Wolf County is just doing what he wants to do. He's shown early speed, and I think he'll be prominent early. I think he'll have every chance to clear at least most of the field from that outside post. And if we're talking about early speed, we also need to talk about number 8, Endowed. Lightly raced son of tonalist Christophe Clement trains this one. First 2-turn dirt start, and for me, that's sometimes a red flag. But you see tonalist on the top. That's a Belmont winner. You see an improving buyer speed figure pattern, 62, 67, 81. This horse, I think, still has some room to improve. Nice second last time out against similar level opposition. And Rat Ortiz Jr. sees fit to ride. Sixer, thank you so much. That's awesome to hear. I love hearing that stuff. But I went 9-8 in here. And the other one that I would use is another runner, Josh, you did not use. The last horse I threw out was 7 with Kendrick Carmouche aboard. Kendrick is one of the most aggressive riders in the circuit. I wouldn't be surprised if Bold Victory is prominent early, but I went 9-8. Wouldn't be surprised if it was 8-9. Needed to whittle some stuff down. And honestly, Josh, while I understand that you're going with horses that are proven over the surface, I am not a fan of the race that Royal Tryst exits. That race completely fell apart on opening day. I'm not a fan of the race that Cryo exits. Higher Quality was supposed to win that race by 10, given his form. He won by 1. Just a bad race in general. And one of the things you're going to find when you handicap Saratoga, there are certain races you look at and you go, I want to bet every horse that comes out of this race. There are also some races you look at where they're staggering coming home and you're going, None of these horses are ever going to win ever again. Chances, because more often than not, you're going to be right.
Yeah, I will say, Andrew, I understand where you're coming from on that race that Royal Twist does come out of. On opening day, that did kind of fall apart as a Calamity 20. And, you're getting quite the step up in class here. But, obviously, Arenas Marcelo decided to claim that horse from the Maker Barn, wheels the horse right back in a couple of weeks. Javier Castellano decides that it's fit to ride this horse. I thought, the thing that I had a hard time with in this race is a lot of these horses that are going to take money have not won in forever. There's a lot of horses in here that, you're talking horses that are 1 for 19, 2 for 15 lifetime types who could potentially be your favorites. So, I thought the horses that were most interesting, obviously you mentioned Endowed. I thought that horse did make some sense as well. And I also thought the 3 made quite a bit of sense. Wolf County breaks kind of one of my personal rules. It's a horse that actually breaks a couple of personal rules. But one of those rules is I don't like to bet maiden breakers out first time versus winners, especially maiden breakers that took 7 times to get it done. I don't know if that one really had a killer instinct there. I realize some of those Churchill races are pretty good, and some of the Churchill runners have been running pretty good. But Kenneth Geek is also 0 for 8 on the meet. Seems like the barns that you want that are Churchill shippers are the Brad Coxes and Mike Makers of the world, and people like Ken McPeak either don't have their best runners up here, or they've been just a little bit outclassed. So I had a hard time. The one other stat that I'll throw out about Endowed 8 is the fact that, believe it or not, Arad Ortiz and Christophe Clement at Saratoga do not do very well together. They're only 6% connect, realize limited starts, but it seems like Clement, if he's got a real live one, he either puts Rosario on it or even Dylan Davis. So I find it very odd. Arad was up for the maiden break, and then Pratt took them out last time out. But going back to Arad here, I don't know. I mean, for a horse that's probably going to take a lot of money, I would bet that Endowed is going to be fairly short in this race. It wouldn't surprise me 2-1, 5-2, that sort of range. For a horse that, I don't know, it just something feels a little bit off about Endowed. So I did end up on Royal Trist. The 3 is my top choice.
All right, I'm gonna mute Mark here. Hopefully he can fix his mic there. I don't know. It's just started popping all of a sudden, Mark. I sent you a message, but Nick Feldman here. He's posting his ticket. He's $96, so he's more than me. Thank God.
You guys got deeper pockets than I do, man.
Dude, so funny story. I forgot. I don't know if I said this on stream or if I just said this like between our group, but I was like, if you guys ever see me playing $144 pick 5 again, you slap me, you hit me, you find me, you harm me, because I don't know what happened the past 2 weekends. I have been known to toss $150 at a sequence, but with multiple tickets, right? Like, and maybe with like an A ticket slam for like $2, $3, $4, like really send it in, and then maybe having a more spread ticket. But the last 2 weekends, I just like have not been seeing the ball well. And so of course I just start including all kinds of horses. And next thing you know, I got just $144 ticket. And I'm like, well, I capped it. I spent all this time. I might as well send it in. And they've just not been good efforts. So I at least I'm half that today, but I really did have a hard time with that first race. So
well, the one thing I will say is it is very, very difficult to hit a man with glasses. That's just not a good look for anybody.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Let's see. I'm gonna unmute Mark here. Mark,
yeah, hopefully it's a little better now, Josh.
Yeah,
there's a lot of background noise. Obviously, you got a lot of people, a lot of background noise. So I apologize.
Can you please tell the 30,000 people at Saratoga right now to shut up?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, please tell the 30,000 people at Saratoga to keep the noise down.
Yeah, John Massey's saying that's when you slow down and recalibrate, reassess your angles and approach. And yeah, basically each of these just horrendous tickets was prefaced by me like hitting the last race trifecta or something the day before. So I saw the number. I saw the
you-
number in the account, and I'm like, oh, I can't miss. And then I use all the horses, and then I miss. So yeah, I gotta kind of slow my roll a little bit there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, honestly, to steal a line from one of my favorite 1980s movies, War Games, sometimes the best decision is not to play. If you're looking and the form starts looking like Egyptian hieroglyphics, it's okay to bet the pass horse every once in a while. We don't want to abuse that. We're all degenerates here. We all want our money down, but there are some times where it's just prudent not to play. If you don't like a sequence, if what you're looking at makes you feel uncomfortable, find other ways to get involved. It's why I like playing doubles on tricky days like this, because if you're right one time and you zero in on one opinion, it's still a nice score.
yeah, I think Mark said he wasn't going to play the sequence, which for him is that says a lot, because I don't know if Mark's ever seen a pick five he doesn't like, and I can say all this because he's muted, so he's got no way to defend himself. But yeah, it's definitely been a tough start of the meet for me. Luckily, like I said, Del Mar's been here, and I've been able to make most of it back at Del Mar. But yeah, John Massey even agreeing he's better when he's picky with horizontals, and
Yeah.
I agree. I did see Road Warrior. He left, but he said he likes Zandon later. So we'll talk about those stakes races a little bit later here. I think we talked this race to death. So why don't we move on to race 4 here? Mark, I'll let you go first here. We have a 5.5 furlong maiden claimer here on the turf. Where did you kind of land here? I believe this is the one that had that Wes Ward horse, the 12 that scratched out. Yeah. Oh, they were MTO. Okay. I didn't even see that.
In this race, I ended up single to the 8 to Billy. I realize this horse is over 10 light. This is major draw of the class. This is a much softer field. Horse has some tactical speed, can be forward, very forwardly placed. And obviously, like I said, Sayas is getting all the live maker mounts, and you can see he's hopping up on this one. I have a feeling this one is pretty well meant. This is no world beat any means. If you want to go some other direction, I think you definitely can in here. But I think if you don't use this 8 pretty aggressively, at least for me, I felt like I needed to be 5 or 6 deep in here. And it just, from what it did from a ticket construction standpoint, made it really hard to play. I will say I don't think I ever found a pick I didn't like, just Josh's adage. My situation here was, and I know Josh was talking about this, when sometimes you feel like these tickets are getting expensive. If you're not building around an opinion, then what you really building around? So the sequence, and what I found in here was I didn't feel like the opinions that I had in the legs that I needed to build around were strong enough that I could build a pick 5 and be profitable long term. I'll probably kick myself because this probably pays really nicely and I would have had it, but I think sometimes discretion is a better form of valor. Is how the adage goes.
Definitely agree. Yeah, I mean, I looked at this race first on Brisnet, which is what I generally do, and I'm like, oh, it's like look at this 8 for or 0 for 10 maiden. Like, yeah, I guess is the best horse, a little bit faster. I like the 9 horse a little bit here for Ray Handel, and I also like the other Ray Handel horse, the 6. But then I don't really, I don't trust the figures here on Briz ever. I use them kind of to gauge as like a ballpark, but when I need a figure that I want to actually look at and trust, I look at time form. And if you look at time form, basically this 8 could lap these horses. It's just incredible how much better this horse looks like on time form. Yet this horse is 0 for 10. Now I get is dropping in class to maiden claiming for the first time. Last time it ran in optional claimers. So maybe this horse just needs this huge class drop in order to win. But this is not a horse I can single. That I just have zero trust in this horse. So I'm going to use the other handle horse. I'm going to use the 9 Union Dolly as well on top of the 8. I thought on time form this horse looked pretty good. I think the 6 furlong was a better effort than the 1 mile race at Belmont. So I think cutting back is actually going to be a positive for this horse. The only question is this horse is not going to be on the engine. Just and at 5.5 furlongs, hopefully this horse doesn't get taken too far back, which might be the only concern. But Rosario has had a great start to the meet. Hasn't won on a handle horse in the last 60 days, but I'll take my shot. I hope I get a nice price here on this 9 as kind of a backup play to using this 8 DeVilly. Andrew, where did you see this one?
My notes on Devilly are now or never, because if Devilly does not win this race, she goes on a dead to me list. She should have this field wildly overmatched, but I agree with you guys. It's not like you can just single this horse and move on. Maybe it is a lone A situation, but you've got to have a couple of Bs underneath, and there are a couple that I do think we need to at least talk about. Number 5, Diamant Damsa. I really hope I'm saying that one correctly, because that's a weirdly spelled name, but it's not like this one hasn't shown talent in the past. Got to the front last time out at Belmont, was third beaten 3 3/4, going 7 furlongs. Maybe the cutback to 5.5 helps that one. Number 4, Trevis, goes out for Phil Antonacci, who, if you look at the record that I've got here, is 2 for 34 on the year, but a lot of seconds and thirds. Ran third with Fauci yesterday when I thought Fauci got an absolutely terrible ride, by the way. Was about 15 lengths back with 3 furlongs to go, came running, and shocker, didn't get up. But Trevis looks a lot better if you just draw a line through that last out effort at Laurel. Maybe this horse just didn't like the Laurel track. Maybe the 4-wide trip didn't help. You can make excuses for that one given the price. And speaking of price, do I have a sales job for you? Let's scroll all the way down to horse number 11, Sparkling Water. Has tried turf one time. It was first time out at Fairgrounds. Mike Maker is not known for success with first-time starters, so I'm going to act like that race just didn't exist. Look at the pedigree. By Get Stormy out of a Warfront mare. That screams turf. I am shocked that they have not tried turf with this one since. Drops in for a tag. Granted, has been running against state breds at Parks the last couple of starts, so probably not as big a drop as it looks. Having said that, though, 20 to 1 seems like way too big a price for me, given the pedigree, and also given the fact that the rest of these horses just aren't that good. If Sparkling Water is able to maybe save a little bit of ground, maybe that one hits the board at a gigantic price, and maybe lights up the tote board on top as well. And don't think for a second that I have not considered the irony that someone named Champagne likes Sparkling Water.
Yeah, I will say in these kind of races, something that I often like to do is when I look at a race and I say, geez, these horses all suck and I don't like them, is to find the first timer and see if that horse looks live. So if you go to the 2, Firefoot, Temple City on the top, Cozine on the bottom end, very turfy, very sort of sprintery, shorter distance area pedigree. You're getting Javier Castellano, and I realize he's 34% on the meet. I think 6 of those 11 wins were at 5.5 on the turf. He is absolutely putting on a show in these turf sprint races so far this meet. You're getting Patrick Reynolds, who is a fairly decent trainer, and obviously this horse was good enough that, Javi with the limited mounts, if you've been paying attention to Javi, he's done sort of what sort of a Mike Smith or even Johnny Velasquez have done, where they've said, hey, I don't want to be riding every single race. I am only going to pick choice mounts, and I want to have less schedule. He's had less than half the starts of an Arad, a Jose, or a Joao Rosario. So I find it really interesting that you're getting Javier Castellano on a horse that's got top and bottom pedigree. That if you look back to that 10th of July work from Belmont, first of 83, going 47-2 across the training track. That's a pretty screaming work for a horse that looks like it should handle turf. I'm actually really interested in too, Lady Firefoot, and I will probably try to be a little cute around this one, considering I'm not playing the pick 5, so maybe I will have some doubles or some pick 3s and a key around this horse. They look like. You drinking Mike's White Lemonade? Yeah.
Wait, tell Andrew to say hi. Tell him to come on.
Yeah, he's busy. He's got his camera. He's running somewhere.
Oh, goodness.
He looks. He's got his press pass. He looks all official. He's running around doing stuff.
He's like, you're doing a live stream here.
I think he's going. Chantel is in for one mount today, and he is heading up to go interview Chantel, I think, at this point. I was hoping you would bring her over here so I could get her on stream, but we'll see if that happens.
How dare he? How dare he not do that? Jerk!
Well, he was going to bring her over because he's been doing, he's like Kinshin and everybody else at the picnic table this summer with work he's been doing. Really great interviews, some shorter form stuff. We tend to be a little longer winded. His stuff is more, 5 to 15 minute range, but really good content. And I was hoping to get her over here so I could stick around 2 seconds, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's Horse Racing Nation's been putting out a lot of stuff with on their Twitter and stuff, and Andrew's been doing. I mean, he's been out there every single day. He's out there in the morning watching works. He's out there in the morning talking to people. So if you're a huge fan of Saratoga and just horse racing in general, I mean, he's been able to get jocks basically right after wins, like interviewing them. Although I think was it Jalen Samuel? It's like, I don't do interviews, which I just thought was hilarious. Because of he's had every big name. He's had
someone wants to talk to him, and he says,
"Oh,
what the hell?"
He's had every big name jock sit there and talk to him. He tries to talk to Jalen Samuel. He's like,
and Jalen Samuel
no interviews.
times him. I'm legitimately outraged for him. That's horrible. And now I'm fired up. I don't need any more caffeine for the day. So thank you for that, Jalen Samuel. What the hell are you thinking?
That was just funny. Oh man. But all right, we got 3 minutes to post. I'm going to post our tickets here again. Obviously, Andrew, we're going to try and talk through race 5 here quickly. But Andrew, you like the 1, the 2, and the 7. Obviously, bank on Shea, Flying Emperor, who I am also on, Amundsen, and 7, Big Bobby. Big Bobby was a horse I looked at for a long time, but I did not end up using. So It looks like we only got the 2 in common here. I get the 2 and the 3 and the 5. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more in depth when we get there. But I got Hot Rod Rumble, Bronx Bomber, and the aforementioned 2, Flying Emperor. I'll tell you, man, Flying Emperor coming in from Finger Lakes, those Finger Lakes figs, I mean, if those figures are real, this horse should not be anywhere close to 10 to 1. And I see Mark nodding his head. Mark, you kind of agree?
Yeah, I very much agree. I very much like Flying Emperor in that spot. That is one of my A's. Historically, Finger Lake shippers, obviously they tend to run at cheaper levels, but when they do ship into Saratoga and they go up in level, you find out it's a little more flat than you expect it to be, and they've historically actually run very well. They tend to ship very well. I know Andrew brought up this point of it's nice to see the local jock shipping in from the Finger Lakes to take one mount for the day. Realize Finger Lakes isn't running today, but it's nice to see that he was willing to come in just for that one mount, and I think this too, Flying Emperor, is very, very live in the fit.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. Be very, very, very wary of Finger Lake shippers coming to Saratoga, especially for these New York bred races that maybe feature horses from the NYRA circuit that just don't like to win. You look at Flying Emperor, you see 14 starts. Find me a start where he hasn't run first or second. You can't. It doesn't exist. 6 wins, 8 seconds. And you're telling me that horse might be 10 to 1? Maybe he plays that way in the pick 5, and I think he's a must-use there. But I do think he's going to get bet down to the 4 to 1, 5 to 1 range. My top pick, though, is number 1, Bank on Shea. Just gets significant class relief. Coming in off of a race at Monmouth where he was beaten less than 2 lengths. Before that, though, you start seeing some really big names. You start seeing New York Traffic. You start seeing Speaker's Corner. You start seeing Baby Yoda and Collaborate, 2 very good lower-level stakes horses. I think Bank on Shea with Kendrick Carmouche aboard is going to be prominent early, second off the brief freshening. Amundsen is a horse that likes Saratoga, has run 3rd last time out in a race where maybe he was just a little too close to the pace early on. There's some speed signed on here. I want horses that can run well late. And we talked about Big Bobby just a little bit. One of my favorite handicapping angles that I like using is the toss 2 angle, I call it. When you see a horse that ran a clunker, goes away for a while, comes back, shows that he needs a race. Well, Big Bobby on New Year's Day ran 5th, beaten 9.5 lengths. We didn't see him again until the middle of June. He clearly needed that race. If you go back to the races he ran in mid to late 2021, he more than fits with this bunch on figure. And I do think we're going to get at least close to that 10-1 price. I picked that one third, but that one was my long shot of the day in the pink sheet because it would not shock me at all whatsoever if Big Bobby jumped up, ran a big enough one to win this race, and potentially, by the way, prep for New York Bred Showcase Day in late August. We saw a couple of horses yesterday that we might see coming back in some of those rich stakes races on Travers Week. This is another one of those races where you're probably going to see some of these horses run for big money later in the meet on that card.
Yeah, one thing about your one bank on Shea, Andrew, is the fact that if you actually scroll back through this this horse's running lines, and this is one reason I like the long form factor running lines, is that obviously the horse was out of the Jason Service barn and into the John Service barn. The horse was 2 for 2 in this same barn, and he saw fit to go get this horse back into his barn. The jock for both of those tries happened to be the one and only Kendrick Carmouche, so who is on the horse today. So obviously they took a shot in the Carter that was way too tough. I don't know how an optional 50 at Monmouth really compares to an optional 45 at Saratoga. I would actually think the optional 45 at Saratoga is probably a tougher race. But
it's probably similar level, I think, just because this race is for state breds and that one was open. But I hear you.
You're right. I forgot the state bred restriction. Yeah, I was playing the game of you were talking about class relief, and I was like, okay, well, is it really? But obviously, off something like that Pelican, this is probably closer to that sort of a field. I realized Baby Yoda was in that race, but I think we know what Baby Yoda is at this point. So, but I do like your bank on Shea. I have that horse written down as a B. I think that horse is a major player if he returns to the form he had the last time he was in this barn.
Well, they're loading into the gate right now. The 4 is now the favorite at 9-5. So was the longest price on the board at one point, is now 9-5. I see John Massey also confused, and they're off here.
Yeah, you guys are a little bit ahead of me, I think. They're just loading in on my phone. I'm watching on the Twin Spiders.
Okay. I'm watching the track feed, and they are almost to the turn.
Yeah, it looks like the two's on the lead here.
I'm behind everybody. Okay.
Yeah, this was not the pace scenario I expected at all. Why did they not go with this straight? Get this free off the freaking rail. Christ, what are you doing? There we go. You still got a circle, though.
Oh, man. If the 3's good enough, the 3's not good enough. Well, that was a quick pick 5.
They're just turning into the stretch run now, but I can sort of imagine the 3 did not get a great trip early on. You see that horse boxed in, then they try to go between horses, which is not an easy thing to do. And by the way, both team leader and Spruce Guard almost lost the rider at about the 3/16 pole. Yeah. Capture the Flag winds up winning. And even though this horse winds up winning fairly easily, my goodness, everything about this stride just screams turf. That horse,
yes, it does.
Very nice moving forward for Shug.
Yeah, I know. I would very much agree with you. And honestly, that 3 is a massive bet back if they run that horse back at Saratoga, because that horse, there was about 4 moves in that race that were just not smart. Honestly, if you've been watching Saratoga the last, let's say, week probably or so, the rail has not been the place to be. You want to be sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 path, a little bit more outside. And he brought that horse right down to the rail. And the horse was actually rallying after passing some tired horses. So definitely some of the tank there, but that's going to be an interesting horse. Maybe, hopefully they run him back here once again.
Yeah, once again, my top pick runs a big race and runs second. That has been the story of my meet to this point, guys.
Happens, man. It happens. Even to the best of us.
Hey, we'll fire in and it'll turn around. That's what we keep telling ourselves. But if you're there for that long, it means you're doing a lot right. I mean, that's a 7-2 shot that ran second off a 5-1 morning line.
Yep.
That stuff's going to happen.
Exactly. And I will say one thing, and I always tell people this. Saratoga is a very cyclical meet. The first 2 weeks of the meet, you tend to get bigger prices, and you'll tend to get these sort of outside connections shipping in from, a horse that's been training at Monmouth or a horse that's been training at some training center, ships in and pops and wins at a big price. And it's more those cute connection type plays. Once you get into the bread and butter, the meat settles down. And I would imagine you're picking those, more logical horses that make sense, that aren't going to be just generic betting money. So from that regard, I think, your form will catch up. If you're getting a lot of second place winners, it's, especially early in the meet, not on you. That's, eventually you'll revert to the mean, right?
John Massey saying that the horse never looked interested in losing, and that he looked very mature. Yep.
Yeah, that's mean, and look, Shug McGahee's horses are known for being professional. They're known for having foundation. And when Shug gets a horse going well, the horse tends to stay going well. I can't wait to see that horse try turf. Maybe they try him in the with anticipation next time out. I realize I'm playing racing manager, and that's literally the worst thing someone can do. But that horse just looks like it wants to go all day, has a really big turf type action to it.
Now, my only concern there is, I know you're talking you would like to see it with anticipation. Completely agree with you. I have a feeling, though, they might go maybe a hopeful or something, like just because, we got to win over dirt, let's try it again, I mean, obviously that's where the money at, and that's from a breeding standpoint, that's where it's at. So, do they chase that? I almost would have rather seen that horse kind of be flat in the stretch, and then you get on turf a little earlier, which is probably what that horse really wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forget we're racing to breed now and not breeding to race.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the industry is completely backwards. I think we both had that conversation that it really is infuriating to both of us.
Many times, many ways. Everybody drink. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody have a drink, and it is what it is.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to be going to the second race here, but I figure, Andrew, we talked about the stakes races on our stream on Thursday. And there's not really much to talk about, I don't think, in this eighth race, the Vanderbilt. Did you have any thoughts outside of Jackie's Warrior? Or
the one thing that I do want to point out, it's a 6-horse field. Jackie's Warrior is going to be 1-9, and unless Jackie's Warrior falls on his face at the start or throws Joel Rosario, he's not losing. But Jorge Delgado runs 2 in here. Number 6, Doc Amster, on a form setup, has no business being in this race, but he's early speed. Number 2, Willie Boy, showed a closing kick in winning the Smile Sprint last time out. At a minimum, I think that ensures a lively pace in this particular race. And I think if you're hell-bent on playing this race and trying to extract the slightest bit of value out of Jackie's Warrior, maybe you take a page out of the playbook of the one and only Dave Weaver and play an ice-cold 4-2 exacta, because Willie Boy has been moving forward for Jorge Delgado, who has a history of moving horses forward with new acquisitions. Where have we heard that before? But I do think from a setup standpoint, Willie Boy will have every chance to run a big one. And if a big enough race puts him second, all of a sudden you've turned Jackie's Warrior from 1-5, 1-9 into, say, 4-1, 5-1. Not sexy, but the math checks out.
So, Andrew, I got to ask you, and again, this is my inner contrarian trying to beat Jackie's Warrior, because that's how you make money as a horse player. The one race that Jackie's Warrior hasn't run, his A game is that Breeders' Cup Sprint. And I think that's one of the few races he's ever had in his career where he had legitimate early pace pressure. I realized the Del Mar surface was playing absolutely wonky, and it was absolutely horrendous to play as a handicapper. But is there any chance that this 6 really applies a lot of pressure? And I think also, somebody like the 1, Need in Snow, can also apply a lot of pressure. Is there any chance that Jackie's Warrior gets a little bit of pace pressure early and late? They go stupid, and maybe it does set up for your Delgado closer who can actually get there on a nice and solid Jackie's Warrior.
If Jackie's Warrior is 75% the horse he has been the last 4 times he's run at Saratoga, he wins. I understand you trying to beat him, and you are going to get your price on Willie Boy, I think. Maybe not 8-1, but certainly 6-1 or so. And I'm not going to try to talk you off of a situation where if Willie Boy wins, you stand to make a fair amount of money. Jackie's Warrior is supposed to win this race by a considerable amount. This is a horse that, more than anything, has embodied that horse for course thing at Saratoga. He's run well pretty much everywhere. If he beat Life is Good in the Allen Jerkins when Jackie's Warrior did not have his preferred trip, and that Jackie's Warrior shows up today, it's going to take a monster set of circumstances to beat him. But I understand.
I'll throw out one little caveat about the about the Allen Jerkins, which should not be called the Allen Jerkins. That's a separate conversation. Yeah, but I will say that if Mike Smith wasn't the dumbest jock on the face of the planet, that result does not happen that way. That's all. That was probably the dumbest. How to float 12 wide around a stretch when it's you and one other horse. That was an absolutely atrocious ride, and Life is Good got robbed. That is all.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Willie Boy's the only horse in here other than Jackie's Warrior I would be interested in. I love New York Traffic, but this is just not.
So Josh, I know you very well, and you always chase certain horses, and then when you stop chasing them, they win. So if you're not New York Traffic anymore, just let me know, okay?
Oh, I'm not chasing New York Traffic in this spot.
Oh, good. Okay,
no.
cool.
All right, let's go. Come on, Mark. Let's go.
I will tell you, dude. Robin Sparkles. I had been chasing Robin Sparkles for a year, and Mark was on last time, and I was like, no way. And Robin Sparkles booms me. Jakarta famously is probably the most famous booming when she boomed me at Parks. The one time I didn't bet her, and she was like 18-1. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not betting New York Traffic in this spot. So yeah, do with that information what you will. I hear you guys talking about pace for Jackie's Warrior. I really just don't think it matters. I mean, I think Jackie's Warrior, like, unless they're gonna set like a 19-second, like just something astronomical that's never happened. I mean, Jackie's Warrior has gone out and set 21-2, 21-4, and still won. So I'm not really worried.
My sort of question is, let's say they go, in the 20s, right? Sub 21. Is there a chance that this comes apart a little bit?
I don't think they go sub 21, especially on this track. I think they're going to go fast, but I don't think anybody's going to go on 100% suicide mission, even though I think Doc Amster is in there to at least ensure someone tries to push Jackie's Warrior early a little bit. I hear you for sure, but just Saratoga is so deep and so tiring, and even 21-4, I think that might be your over-under for this particular race.
Yeah, I agree with you. Being contrarian for contrarian's sake, I think Jackie's Warrior wins this 95 out of 100 times, maybe 98 out of 100 times. But just trying to find those, I don't know, contrarian for contrarian's sake.
That's why we're here. I mean, if you're a horse player, you've got to be contrarian to some degree. And hang on a second, Josh. I believe we have a defensive B alert down there on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, because Mark is like there's no way Mark is not. If Mark is playing this late, he's not singling Jackie's Warrior. So I'm giving him a defensive B alert just because he's arguing. I don't know. I have nothing else set up.
It's the best you can do to mock me, Josh. I'm disappointed.
I love this show.
No, I mean, Jackie's Warrior will be a lone A, right? But I might get a little cute on the back with some C's and effectively buy the race as a C. And then you get that, I mean, I guess it's horrible. I remember sort of back in the you guys walk. I can show it to you 1 second. But Rachel Alexandra, when I got paid out the wazoo for having contrarian opinion.
All right, I'm going to mute Mark now as the horses go past there. But, yeah, race 9, the Jim Dandy. We had the scratch of the one who ran yesterday. So you got a 4-horse race here between Early Voting, Epicenter, Zandon, and Tawny Port. I mean, I have a problem with 4-horse fields. This is the one case that I think they have the 4 right horses, at least. I mean, save what you will. I mean, these are 4 of the top 10 3-year-olds, if not, maybe even better than that. But Andrew, where did you kind of see this one?
All right, I've got one quick soapbox rant and then one demonstration. The soapbox rant. Naira. If anyone from Naira or anyone that has anyone's ear at Naira is listening, move the effing Curlin. Move it. Move it to Travers Day. You can have that as an alternative for horses that aren't good enough to run in the Travers. You're telling me Artorias' race yesterday doesn't at least give him a puncher's chance in here? I would prefer taking 30-1 shots out of the Travers rather than take 8-1 shots with a chance out of the Jim Dandy. I don't like 4-horse fields either. I understand that this race is heavy on quality and light on quantity. I'll give him a pass a little bit on that. Having said that, though, moving the Curlin would have at least made this a 6 or a 7-horse field. We probably would have gotten Creative Minister in here as well. We probably would have gotten Artorias, and I would have liked to have seen Artorias against the likes of Epicenter, Early Voting, and Zandon, given the way he ran yesterday. He ran a gigantic race that was so visually impressive. Now it's time for the demonstration. You guys are ready? Okay. Did you guys feel that? You guys feel that? That was big, and I'm at the epicenter. Waka, waka, waka. In the Preakness, everything went wrong for Epicenter. Everything went right for Early Voting. That is not to say Early Voting does not have talent. If Early Voting winds up winning this race and getting a dream trip to do so, am I going to be stunned? No. But it's a 4-horse field. Epicenter's not going to get the shuffle from the rail. I would have to think that Steve Asmussen's pre-race instructions to Joel are, if you take this horse back, you are never riding for me again. And if you think I'm bluffing, go ask Ricardo. Epicenter, to me, should get the trip. It's a 4-horse field. He should be prominent early from that inside post. I respect Early Voting. I'm feeling Epicenter here, and I am 100% against Zandon. I like Zandon a lot in the Travers in 4 weeks when there's going to be a bigger field and some pace set up for him. It's a 4-horse field, and for as talented as he is, he just hits me as a little too pace dependent for the price that he's going to be. With that in mind, I think it's a 2-horse race between Epicenter and Early Voting, and I prefer Epicenter. Epicenter is a single for me, lone A in the late pick 4.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with any of that, Andrew. You know, I think you bring up some really good points. The thing I like most about Epicenter is he's gotten a little bit of a freshening, right? Similar sort of freshening that Cyberknife got. We saw what happened with him taking a massive step forward in the Haskell. So I'm very interested in, I think we did our Thursday night stream. I kind of mulled over it, thought about it a little bit more, and I almost just got hit by a pine cone. And no, I think I'm kind of landing in the same exact spot you are, where I think I want Epicenter, and I want to see the real Epicenter show up, because in the prep cycle he was an absolute monster, and I'm hoping we get a return to form of him. But I will say with these 2 stakes races, there's sometimes you come to Saratoga where you're really interested in betting certain things, and there's other times you come to Saratoga because you just want to see the show. And today is more the latter. I just want to be, I want to be here and say I was here when, and that's a lot of fun at Saratoga. And also I was in the head of the racing stewards for Naira's ear with a couple of friends about moving the Curlin, about the fact that you're diluting your own product. What are you doing? You flipping idiot. And it seemed like there was a touch of traction and maybe some things clicked. So I am very optimistic. What we suggested is run the Curlin as the prep for the Jim Dandy and run it closing weekend of Belmont. And then all of a sudden you have a really cool scenario, because you have a prep for the prep, and all these Maiden Breaker lasts out can point there. We see what they're really made of. Hey, if you're legit, you go to the Jim Dandy, and then you show up at the Jim Dandy and you go to the Travers with all the shippers coming in from everywhere else. It makes a really nice little 3-race sequence, and you don't have this. It's stupid. They've done it a couple years in a row. Everybody who knows anything about horse racing is absolutely pissed the F off that Naira can't figure this out. That, oh yeah, we'd rather have 2 races on the same weekend at the same distance for the same class of horses, but have 5-horse fields instead of, hey, let's have an 8-horse field both times and spread them out a little more. It's absolutely a no-brainer, and now it just needs to, sometimes you need to scream at the appropriate person, and I think we may have made that happen.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. And honestly, that's a pretty cool idea too. Either way, either you make it the start of a prep series, or you make it an alternative for big shot owners that want to say they have a horse running on Travers Day, a 3-year-old in a 2-turn race, and hope they don't pay attention to which race the horse is actually in.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact of, does the Curlin end up becoming dilutive of the Travers at that point, where I have no problem with those 8 or 10 to ones that have upsiding in the Travers. I like a full Travers field. All of a sudden, if you put it on the undercard Honestly, we know how breeding is in this country these days. There just aren't a lot of classic distance horses that are out there. Very limited pool size. Yeah, everybody wants to win the Travers. Does that and Curlin being the undercard become dilutive of those, quote unquote, I'll use a Caleb phrase, like take out reducers. So
could be.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in betting this race. I think early voting has the pace advantage. I think Epicenter is the better horse, and I just don't know which one of those two win. So it'll be fun to watch, but I'm not playing this late sequence whatsoever.
But I will say for anybody watching the track today, and I know Josh said he's not playing the late sequence. You have two easy legs, right? You single Jackie's Warrior, and I think really the Jim Dandy's a 2-horse race. That makes 2 easy legs in a pick 5. I think then you can get a little creative. Race 7, race 10, and race 11, which I think are all 3 of them are fairly deep. And there's definitely some value to be made if you have some opinions in those legs. I think saying, oh geez, there's 2 races that are chalky, so I'm not going to play a sequence, probably isn't a good way to approach a sequence. You want to approach it with okay, I can find value other places. And I have, quote unquote, opinions here. So I've turned a pick 5 into a pick 3 at that point. And that's, they can pay very well. And also remember, there is a middle pick 5 today as well that starts, I think, in race 4. So that one, if you, that one probably provides some value as well.
There's also a middle pick 4 that's starting in race number 5, too.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So you have both those options. So, one nice thing that Naira does, only an 11 race card. At most tracks, that's a 2 pick 5 and a 2 pick 4 day. It's nice from Naira giving that middle sequence, and you can say, oh, geez, there's 3 pick 5 options, 3 pick 4 options. Who do I have the best opinions in? I'm going to build around that one.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us. I have a train to catch. So, Andrew, thank you so much for hopping on. I know for sure when we are in Saratoga, we'll have you on again. And then, if I thought this was going to be too early for you, but if you're an early bird, we might be tagging you in again.
When it comes to Saratoga, I get a little bit early. Also, today's a big day. I'm going to be spending the rest of the day cleaning and packing. I'm moving next weekend, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Thankfully, it's a short move, but yeah, today's going to be a busy day with races in the background that give me an opportunity to curse and get all my frustration out every 30 minutes.
Yeah, because moving's not going to do that for you.
Oh, yeah, no. Again, it's a short move, and I'm moving to a bigger, better place. It's a good thing. It's just the work that goes into it, as you guys know, is not ideal.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'm actually going to go get the train, go downtown, and meet up with Caleb, who's actually in town. So we're going to go get some tiki drinks and go out to a nice Mexican restaurant downtown. So, Mark,
very nice, man. Very nice. Let's have a fun time.
Mark, have fun.
I'll be on track all day. If anybody wants to chill, I am floating today. I have no real seats, so hit me on Discord, ping me on Twitter, and I will float by and say hi.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys later.